Good morning. I am Divine Muse 333. Welcome to my channel. Today I will be doing a message for the Aquarius collective, but if it resonates with the cross watcher or any sign in general, please take what applies. If it does not resonate with you, do not make this fit your life. I'm doing this reading today because I understand that we are all one in a sense, and I have been going through some things that I need to heal from, and as I'm healing from them, I'm still feeling the same way. So I feel like there are a lot of Aquariuses out there who are going through a similar situation and are in search of a way out to heal and move past it, but are not aware of how, or are unable to identify with what message applies to them, and maybe taking on messages that don't fit them. I have several stones, crystals, what have you laid out that particularly resonated with me for this reading, as well as the symbolism and a message about the bird you may have heard in the beginning of the reading. Alrighty. So the first stone I have here, crystal, what have you, is apatite. Forgive me if I mispronounce it. And this is a stone of manifestation. This is related to the throat chakra. It's to attract understanding, comprehension, and emotionally open friends. So some of us may have been dealing with attracting people who are not as emotionally available as us and wondering why. The why may very well be because you are not as emotionally available as you think. There's a heavy blockage of the heart chakra. I myself included tend to close off to circumstances where I encounter rejection, defeat, or I feel like I've been personally offended. The next crystal I have here is green calcite. This brings renewed purpose and vitality and the desire to make positive changes in one's life. This is related to the heart chakra. The next stone I have here is rose quartz. It restores trust, harmony in relationships, encouraging unconditional love. It's also related to the heart chakra. A lot of Aquariuses may have been going through circumstances where you've lost passion for passion, which in turn will have you doing numerous things and not fully understanding why you don't really feel anything for them. You may also have found out in life that the stuff that you have invested in and put a lot of time into was not something that resonated with you. You may have been doing it because somebody told you it was best, or somebody told you couldn't do it. So as an Aquarius, you're like, oh, I'm gonna show you better than I could tell you, and then you find no satisfaction in it because you didn't want to do it. It was just like it was something to prove to somebody else who ultimately in the end is not going to care. They're going to raise the bar. They're going to up the ante in a sense, and you're going to continue, if you go in that pattern, to try and people please and pleasing people outside of you potentially, or not pleasing them because they aren't pleasable. They like to see you run in circles, and ultimately you yourself are going to feel unfulfilled. In regards to the rose quartz, we tend to see things through a rose-colored glass when it doesn't always apply. There are people in our life, just as much as we'd like to see the best in them, they're there for a reason, and they do not vibe with us, and that is okay. They will get there, and if they don't, that is not your responsibility. This stone right here is sunstone. Luck and good fortune It clears and energizes all the chakras, dissipates fearfulness, alleviates stress, and increases vitality. This is related to the sacral chakra. A lot of us may not have pursued things in life that we wanted to go for because we were scared of failing. So in turn, what we did, because we are doers and humanitarians, we do things for other people, or we push forward other people to go for their dreams. In turn, we are kind of, it's like a covert self-sabotage, because if we do something, we aim lower, in a sense, something where we're not passionate about. You know, if we fail at it, it's not as bad as failing at that one thing that we really want to go for. Or we feel empowered by seeing the light in others and bringing that out in them. But ultimately, we are still in a very dark and empty place. It's a beautiful madness. This is red, forgive me. This is red jasper for the root chakra. It unifies all aspects of your life. Grounding, going back to the beginning, because a lot of us have a lot of deeply rooted childhood traumas, or traumas that aren't related to childhood. But it was enough to make us think we were course correcting, but we're really avoiding. We think if we could heal everybody else around us in some way, it could heal us. Or we felt like maybe somebody could rescue us from our own situation. So we may get into relationships where we know we're not ready for, or commitments, hoping that that will heal us. Nobody's going to save us. We've got to save ourselves. And that means looking in those dark places that you do not want to go. I myself, I watch my videos back once I put them out. I used to avoid it, but then I wonder why I was avoiding it. But a lot of it was also speaking to me. So please do not feel personally attacked. Know that I'm here with you. I'm going through a lot of the same things, but we're going to get through this. I'm going to help put everything out on the table, because a lot of us are externally based. We seek gratification outside of ourselves. So when it's laid out in front of us, sometimes we can understand it better. But ultimately, you still have to go inside and deal with that. If you recognize it, deal with it. And if it's something that keeps popping up that you're not recognizing, it may be because you don't want to recognize it and you're avoiding it. Face it head on and let's get through this. Alrighty. On to the morning dove. That I'm not, Ace Ventura, so forgive me. Dr. Doolittle, whatever. But the morning dove symbolism, a lot of folks associate it with grief and loss. But the symbol of it is life, renewal, hope, and peace. It's a symbol of the Holy Spirit. So it's evident that there's a heavy presence here that is supporting us on the ethereal realms. But we have got to look at it like there was in the Wisdom Oracle deck, this is a chakra deck, they speak of a great servant who is like Moses in a sense, where they part the sea, but we've got to walk through it. So they're parting the sea for us right now. We've got to recognize that we've got to move forward. We can no longer make future plans with past baggage. This is going to be a long one. I can tell you that off the bat. I highly advise you to listen to it all. Like I said, if it doesn't resonate, then thank you for joining me. But if it does, and you may get uncomfortable, but don't run away from that emotion. Sink into that. Really think about it. Put a tack in it. And, like I said, the video is going to be extensive. So put a tack in it, write it down, and come back to it. The first thing we're going to go to is the past. Five of Swords. Oh, also the decks have been pre-shuffled. I heavily meditated. My form of heavy meditation. I heavily meditated. All right. Anyway, we have the Five of Swords. That tit for tat. That empty victory. At all cost. Sometimes sacrificing yourself. Energy here. There may be past lovers who have hurt you and you feel like you have something to prove. You said, I'd never be this person in regards to a parent. I heard that. You said, I'd never be this person, or I'd never be able to do this. Watch me work. You know, but ultimately you've spent so much energy into a situation where your heart was not in. So at some point in time, in order to pursue that, you had to close off your heart, because I'm sure it hurt you to pursue something that your heart wasn't in. The only way to continue to do it is to, you know, deceive yourself. I feel like Seven of Swords energy with this as well. But it's coming to a point where you look back over your life and you see that nothing that you've done, even though you have many accomplishments, has been for you. It's been for everybody else around you. Resentment can build there. You can feel anger. That could be an indicator. When you feel angry and you don't know why, it could be the most innocent situation. You could be staring in the eyes of your child and feel anger. And you know, of course, you're going to get in that Empress energy, but it's kind of in reverse, because you're repressing the fact that you may not have ever wanted to have kids. That doesn't mean that you don't love children. But maybe you in turn were meant to do work with children. Be an auntie. And give them back at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But this is that energy of being there's a dissatisfaction associated with everything that you do, and you've rejected yourself at some point in time, so there's this internal resentment that's really for you that you're pushing out on everybody else, so projecting. It could be a very illusion based energy as well, where I see that meme with the dog sitting there sipping coffee, or is it a GIF? GIF. You got that dog sitting there sipping coffee and the house is burning down. You know, everything's okay. You know, it's not letting the house burn and walking away, admitting defeat. It's sitting in it and willing to go down in the flames and say that everything's okay, like that captain. I also see the Titanic, where you have the whole band play you a song to go out, like you're going down with the ship, and this ship wasn't even something that you were supposed to be the captain of. There also may be some of you, and as I said, this could go both ways, so take it as it applies. Look at it from a unified perspective. You, outside of you, others around you, and it goes on and on. Take it as it applies. There also may be some of you who hurt people in the past with these at all cost tendencies. Your mind can do this funny thing where you think you're doing what's best for you, but in being so dedicated to doing what's best for you, everybody else around you suffers. So there could be a little selfishness there. There could be some residual narcissistic energy if you were around and raised by narcissistic parents. You could tend to take on some of those traits as a defense mechanism. Nobody likes to hear the N-word, but you know, at the end of the day, you've got to look at it head on. Some of you also may be very empathetic, and you have to understand that when you absorb energy, you absorb all types of stuff. So some of the things that you may be feeling, and this is not an excuse. I'm not saying this is an excuse, but some of these energies that you may be feeling and wondering why, and turning on yourself and thinking you're this bad person, it could be someone close to you. This could be a conditioning to where you've gotten used to acting this way because of the people that raised you. I'm going to clarify this card. There also could be one person in particular. It could be something that you see is so small and you're saying to yourself, no, it's not a big deal. I'm okay. This happened to me, but you bring it up every time. You bring it up every time. The key to unlocking what this one is for this person in particular, these people in particular, is you bring it up every single time it happens to you again, but you wonder why it keeps happening to you again, and you think it's the person outside of you, but you yourself are selecting these people based off of this one event, person, or circumstance. An example for me would be, I'd brush it off and say it was nothing because it was high school, See, I'm already doing it. But it was putting yourself into somebody who was not there for you. And at the end of the day, judging this person as well. We can be very judgmental. And it's almost maybe a God complex to the judgmentalness, because you see yourself as this person who is above it. So you can identify it, but you're in turn judging, instead of looking at it for what it is. And so, for example, in high school, I was dating a senior, and they dumped me in front of everybody. I was humiliated. I got on my knees, and I begged this guy to stay with me. I don't even remember to date why, but it was puppy love. And I consider him to be a crappy person. But when I look back on it now, I see high school. That was a time period at the end of the day. And this was a person who barely had a mustache. And the maturity rate in regards to men versus females, whatever the case, you could rationalize it however you want, but at the end of the day, you got to look at it for what it is. You were younger. People make mistakes, and that person does not deserve to, nor do you, to bear a cross for something that you did when you were unaware, or you were learning and growing and living. Now, that does not mean, I lost my train of thought once I dropped the cards, but that does not mean to make excuses for people's piss poor behavior. Because this isn't an excuse. This is just looking at it for what it is. And in looking at it for what it is, you can find that forgiveness. Because the biggest thing with resentment is it's an inability to forgive. You want to hold on. And you say you want to let go of somebody, or you may say that you're over somebody, but you haven't let go if you haven't forgiven them, like truly forgiven them and move forward with your life. You're still carrying a little bit of that person in your energy. It's kind of like an exchange, because you're carrying a little bit of that person in your energy, and you've left a part of you back there in the past. So it's like you're living in a fractured state, bits and pieces, in all different locations. So you have to go back to those places, see it for what it is, and retrieve those parts of yourself. Forgive yourself for being in that situation. Something like, at the end of the day, that was high school. I was a kid too. You can't hold yourself accountable just as much as you can't hold them accountable. That's not your job, to hold people accountable. We are not the end all be all. The judge, executioner, and jury. We are not that. Make sure I ain't got no more cards up under there. I don't think so. Okay, we good. Okay. Inner knowing, telepathy, intuition, heart song. A lot of you may have doubted yourself in the past with this Five of Swords energy. As I spoke before, where I said, at the end of the day, you knew what you did wasn't for you. There was a deep inner knowing that, hey, this isn't what I want to do. I'm doing this for this, and this may be the turnout. Because a lot of Aquariuses are very that hunch is often right, but it's like a confusion that comes with that hunch being right. You may think that you're always right, or you may doubt it and in turn be rejecting yourself all over again. You may have been raised where your parents told you what to do. You followed instructions. You did what you were told. You did what was right. You may have spent your life doing what was right, but it wasn't right for you. And again, with the empath aspect of it as well, a lot of weight that you carry is not your own. I see in my head it's a card in I think it's the Work Your Light deck, but it says carrying what's not your own. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You don't have to make up for somebody else's mistakes as well. This could be something where, like the situation I gave you with children, having kids because, somebody said you couldn't do it or you would never be a great mom, whatever the case may be. You could in turn have been in a situation where you felt that hurt, you were abandoned, or you didn't have a good parent, so you decided in turn to carry the cross of the world that nobody's going to feel that pain again. And in turn, what do? You go and you have a bunch of children, and you love those kids, but you didn't do it for you. You assumed a weight that was not your own. So your heart wasn't really in it. It's not the fact that you're battling a lack of love. It's just a loving from the wrong place. Maybe a logical aspect versus actual, the mind of the heart. The heart brain. It's time for you to free yourself from this. It's time for you to move forward. You see that bird in there? Fly, soar. You can do it. You are powerful. You have an inner knowing. You are intuitive. And a lot of times where you see that gift in others, there may be some type of vibrational telepathy going on there. There may even be what you're pushing so hard for other people to do. Some of you may push your dreams on others in turn, like other people's dreams may have been pushed on you. And that may not be what they want. So you're continuing a pattern unknowingly of that projection. But you've got to learn to trust yourself. You've got to get back in touch with that part of you that you left behind, or that you started to negate because other people did. It's almost like a self-bullying or a abandonment of self in turn. Like if you were abandoned, instead of not living in that circumstance anymore, you abandon yourself and think you're helping others by working with abandoned children. But your inner child's like neglected. That's not it. It's like trying to find it, but you can't see it. What is it that's hurting me? Why am I hurting no matter what I do? And not seeing it right in front of you when you look in the mirror, when you look in yourself. All right. Working. This Eight of Pentacles energy. Working, craftsmanship. Some of you may be working towards self-care, going within, actually doing the work. You're at the point where you need to, in the present, be working, but not working outward, not working on all these things that you surrounded yourself with and busied yourself with. It's like emotional hoarding or physical hoarding. You surround yourself with all these things And in turn, you're busy with all these things, so you never have to sit there and be with yourself. Have your mind quieted, and focus on what you have going on the inside. It's getting to the root of the matter. You may have all these accolades as well, because I see these also as trophies. Trophies of the past, even. Kind of like, hypothetically, how, I guess hypothetically, is it hypothetically? I don't know. But you'll get what I'm saying. You know how a serial killer keeps trophies of people that they kill, whether it be a lock of hair or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to get specific because it's going dark. But it's keeping remnants of the past, like old letters. Some of you may have kept those, or they're in the closet. You don't want to get rid of them because you may need them one day. Or in general, that hoarding aspect, I might need it one day. No. If it's been a week and you haven't needed that, then maybe you don't need it at all. I also see, you see the brick up under the pinnacle. This is, to me, it's. I see somebody nailing holes in a coffin, like either closing out a part of themselves and just refusing to address it and moving forward, or they're going into those deeply rooted places and figuring out what's going on and letting it go. You may be grounding yourself right now. You may have torn down the foundation and started from scratch, because you see this person working, but there's no house surrounding them. It's from scratch, starting from scratch. So some of you all may have encountered a tower moment in the past as well, that was not to break you down, but to force you out of a situation that it just couldn't go on any longer. The end of the line. That's it, no more. It had to be taken from you in order for you to fully understand that you didn't need it in the first place. I see a lot of you have seen the upside of what's going on with COVID. That inner work, that seclusion, that going inside while everybody else is in their house, but you're going inside of you, your home, your true home, where we're all connected. Shutting out the people, the negative influences, and really getting down in the dark with yourself and figuring out exactly what the fuck's going on, because you're tired of feeling that shit. And if you haven't, presently, that may be what you need to be doing. I see a lot of you being out in nature, getting in touch with trees. Tree huggers. You may be refurbishing something as well, like taking something that had a previous use and finding a new way to use that's beneficial to you, like a remix. I see, it's like a spirit put us on the bench. You don't need to be out in the game right now. You're on the bench. It's time for you to cool down, hydrate, get yourself physical therapy, but get yourself right to get back in the game. But right now, you don't need to be back in the game, because you've got all these ones that then you got one right there that you're working on, but you got to tear down the rest of these. And you got one behind you that you may not see right now. But you got to get all these and get to the root of them and heal. tying up loose ends. I heard in my head, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, see? Got avoidance by working, overworking, workaholic. You know, you may have a trigger. When something triggers you, you do a specific thing. Like some may emotionally eat, some may the need to do busy work. So occupy yourself with anything but that, is what I heard. You may be blocking out your blessings and escapist tendencies. Whether that be working, on relationships, on family, on jobs, personal passions that aren't personal passions, if you would do the work and find out. Or pushing away. You could be pushing away the assistance that's here for you. And I felt the need to look at the bottom. Pretend, mask, exaggeration, bluff. So you may be wearing a mask, but with yourself. You're not fooling anybody but yourself. You can try and fool, you can fool yourself, but you can't fool the audience. So in turn, by being fake, you're pushing away the realness that's here and trying to come into you. So some of you could be isolating yourselves to the point where it's not beneficial. You've not only cut out the wrong ones, but you've cut out the right ones. And if you're avoiding working and just isolating, then you're not helping yourself. Because then you're just by yourself in the dark. And I see somebody sitting in the darkness with that lampshade, turning it off and on, and I hear, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again." Like trolls. Hello. So you've got to get out of that. I see this is murky water right here. You've got to clear it up. You can't keep avoiding it. You've got to clean this shit up. And I say that with love, because I'm here with you. We can no longer go about life helping everybody else and not helping ourselves. There's nothing selfish in that, in doing for you, because you can't be good to nobody else if you're no good to yourself. And you damn sure can't truly help anybody if you don't know yourself. You have to surrender. I heard surrender. Release. Stop avoiding the wave. Go into it. Into the darkness. So that you can find that light within it and come out of it. Because I see somebody cloud of darkness, like darkness surrounding them, but they're not going into it. So it's catching up with you. It's catching up with you. You're going to have to go into it, or it's going to come to you. Eight of Swords. This is for the future. Now, this is, I don't see this as a bad energy. I see this as you coming to the conclusion that a lot of the constraints and the restrictions that you feel like you were tied up in were self-imposed, a self-imposed prison. I see you see how she's floating above this? She's above it. And she's got that eagle eye view to look at it from a higher perspective. And then you'll see, I see this is just TP. She's around, just wrap toilet paper. Cry a little bit. Maybe then, the toilet, wet the toilet paper, it'll rip off easy, but it's TP. Were you the person during Coronas getting all the toilet paper? Like, to wrap yourself up in? I see you getting out of this. You've got this. Because now you realize that it's only you. In all honesty, the upside of that, the even more upside of that, is you are powerful enough to do this to yourself for this long. So just imagine that power used in a positive aspect. Instead of engaging, releasing yourself. And when you release yourself, you can release others. It's powerful. You are powerful. Don't be trapped in the lessons. Learn them. And see the gift. You fucking floating. You got TP wrapped around you like it's fucking stainless steel. I feel like a lot of us are here to help raise the vibration and free those that are trapped. But you can't do that until you free yourself. And see the gift in everything around you. Infatuation, adoration, addiction, compulsion, triggering, autopilot, buzzwords. These things where when you encounter them, you automatically go back to that state that you were in. Seeing the fireworks as gunshots. So you never know it's the 4th of July. You think it's daggone D-Day. You know, some of us are so used to pain. It's an infatuation with pain. And that could be closely related to your purpose. You're infatuated with pain, but not being in pain, getting rid of the pain, or finding it, identifying it, maybe, you know. But something related to that pain is your purpose. Find the purpose in your pain. Some of y'all may be addicted to negative thinking. And you're so positive with everybody else, but if they could just take a peek in your head, you know, you're your own worst enemy in a sense. And you've got to heal that. You've got to stop. Some of you may have been groomed to hurt. Get out of that conditioning. Get out of that wallowing in self-pity. Some of these situations, like I said, wrapped in TP, it's not even here anymore. You're just dwelling on it. You got to let it go. And learn to love yourself. Infatuation with self, but not in a sense where it's narcissistic, it's self-love. Look at yourself in the mirror and see those cracks and imperfections and love them. Know that that's what makes you uniquely you. I'm going to go ahead and go to a 2 cards of advice from the Divine Feminine Oracle and the Magic of You. I've already pre-shuffled these, so I'm going to go ahead and pull. We've got Lilith. Some of you all may need to look at your Lilith in your natal chart. I believe that's of significance. I do not have the meaning right now, but you need to look at your Lilith and embrace that. Know the story of Lilith. Well, part of you cast out and denied its existence because it's calling for you to acknowledge it. Lilith, the first woman. I am the voice of my body and soul. I choose the life that I desire to live. You choose. Stop putting accountability on others and getting that resentment. You know, those feelings of resentment and wallowing in it because you gave your power to somebody else to dictate how you're going to live your life. So when you fail, you can blame them instead of looking at how you never made the choice to begin with. Take accountability. I say that with love. And as I said before, I'm going to read straight from the deck for that. Not the deck. Straight from the book. Straight out of Compton. I don't know why I heard that. But I heard the CB4 straight out of Compton. A crazy motherfucker named Gusto. Anyway. Who's over here faking like there's something they're not? There go. Another like, see, I ain't here. NWA. I ain't heard that. You got to step into that NWA. Right now you're doing some CB4 type shit. Whose story are you living? Lilith embodies our sovereignty to declare our desires and do what must be done in order to live them out. According to Jewish folklore, Lilith was Adam's first wife. She was created from the same earth as Adam, so when he expected her to be subservient to him, she refused. Lilith explained to Adam that they were equal, made by God. So when Adam insisted again on her submission, Lilith uttered the divine names and flew away. Supposedly, Adam sent angels after her to force her to return, but she was with the archangel Samuel, and she desired to remain with him. Ancient Jewish midrash, or retellings of biblical stories, portray Lilith as a demon, but contemporary feminist theologians like Judith Plaskow have incorporated women's experience and women's voices in traditional texts with their own midrash. Plaskow transforms the fearsome, vilified Lilith into a wise, empowered woman. Lilith embodies the emotional and spiritual aspects of our unconscious or unrealized desires, sensuality, and unbridled sexuality. She owns her body and soul completely. For many women, Lilith is an icon of freedom. Lilith is the first woman. She is the woman who refused to be dominated or defined by anyone or anything outside of her. When your soul selects her card, Lilith asks, what would happen if you left everything behind? She wonders what prevents you from getting to experience all that you desire. Is it you? Is it an idea of someone you have to be? Is it society's definition of what it means to be a woman? Lilith asks the questions that sometimes never fully reach the light of consciousness. Lilith is unclaimed. She is the ruler of her body and soul, and she reminds us that we are too. And not only that, we have a sacred obligation to be the body's fierce protector. If I were entirely equal to everyone else, to every man and every angel, like Samuel, what would I choose for my life? If I see myself as worthy, as the first woman ever created by the divine, what more would I ask for? Am I living the life I desire? Am I actually fulfilled sexually in my current relationship? Are there aspects of my sexuality I haven't been able to face or voice? Lilith refused to settle. She answered all these questions within her and took action on the truth she uncovered. Lilith demanded that she meet with what she really desired, and she's here to demand that we all do the same. So for meditation, when you think and you sit and ponder, you can ask yourself the question, what does the life I truly desire look like? If I knew I was fully supported, what would I do? And that's a card in the Work Your Light deck. Intention. So you can chant this, you can write it down as a mantra, make it your soul song, whatever, if it applies to you. I am the voice of my body and soul. I choose the life that I desire to live. And I've actually been told to leave it there. Alrighty, Aquariuses, I hope you have a wonderful day and you start to walk in your purpose. And I look forward to seeing the beautiful souls out there being your authentic selves. I love you. Bye.